was such a nice celebration for Srila Prabhupada's 125th Vyasa Puja. It was really beautiful. It's really, gives us a chance to really meditate on what Srila Prabhupada has done for the whole world. What a task that he's completed, so dedicated to his spiritual master. I'm always in awe and wonderment about all that Srila Prabhupada has accomplished. It's amazing when you think about it, But because he knew Krishna, Krishna knew him, and he was following instructions of his spiritual master, so he's able to start changing the whole world. All we have to do is follow. Just follow, not imitate, but follow in his footsteps. And also try to spread, the rays of this Krishna conscious movement, to others who may not know or who are in complete ignorance. So we're on chapter 15, the Yoga of the Supreme Person. And we're on, I'm doing text 12. But first we'll do the prayers. Om Gena Tamarandasha Gena Gena Salakaya Chakshumaritamyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sapitamyena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurum Vaisnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagvajatam Sahagana Vaganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Savadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Veshabhano Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kapyas Rubyas Cha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gauda Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I'm trying to remember, because of the fortune I've been given by my spiritual master and by Srila Prabhupada, that I should chant the holy names with vigor and enthusiasm. Just being able to chant is a blessing in itself, because some people can't chant the holy names. They're unfortunate they can't chant the holy names. But we're among the fortunate. Prabhupada created our good fortune, just like he also told his disciples. Okay, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Āditya-gataṁ tejo jagad bhāsayate khilam candramasi cāgnau tejo viddhi māmakam. Word for word, yat, that which, āditya-gataṁ, in the sunshine, tejaḥ, splendor, jagat, the whole world, bhāsayate, illuminates, akhilam, entirely, yat, that which, candramasi, in the moon, yat, that which, cha, also, agnau, in fire, tat, that, tejaḥ, splendor. Viddhi, understand. Māmakam, from me. Text, the translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. Please repeat. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. Purport. The unintelligent cannot understand how things are taking place, but one can begin to be established in knowledge by understanding what the Lord explains here. Everyone sees the sun, moon, fire, and electricity. One should simply try to understand that the splendor of the sun, the splendor of the moon, and the splendor of electricity or fire are coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In such a conception of life, the beginning of Krishna consciousness, lies a great deal of advancement for the conditioned soul in this material world. The living entities are essentially the parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, and He is giving herewith the hint of how they can come back to Godhead, back to home. From this verse, we can understand that the sun is illuminating the whole solar system. There are different universes and solar systems, and there are different suns, moons, and planets also. But in each universe, there's only one sun. As stated in the Bhagavad-Gita 10.21, the moon is one of the stars. Nakshatranam aham sasi. Sunlight is due to the spiritual effulgence in the spiritual sky of the Supreme Lord. With the rise of the sun, the activities of human beings are set up. They set fire to prepare their foodstuff. They set fire to start the factories, etc. So many things are done with the help of fire. Therefore, sunrise, fire, and moonlight are so pleasing to the living entities. Without their help, no living entity can live. So if one can understand that the light and splendor of the sun, moon, and fire are emanating from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa, then one's Krishna consciousness will begin. By the moonshine, all the vegetables are nourished. The moonshine is so pleasing that people can easily understand that they are living by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa. Without His mercy, there cannot be sun. Without His mercy, there cannot be moon. And without His mercy, there cannot be fire. And without the help of the sun, moon, and fire, no one can live. These are some thoughts to provoke Krishna consciousness in the conditioned soul. So in this chapter, the supremacy of the Lord is being again propagated. But throughout this whole Bhagavad-Gita, basically, that's the whole essence of the Bhagavad-Gita, is that we understand that we are conditioned living beings, but we're part and parcel of Krishna, and that He is the supreme enjoyer. None of us are the enjoyers, and that all of us are actually prakriti. We're all to be enjoyed by Krishna, and this is how we become happy. We try to please Krishna, and then we become happy. So in the previous verse, in the purport, Prabhupada talks about the transcendentalists. There are many transcendentalists on the path of spiritual self-realization, but one who is not situated in self-realization cannot see how things are changing in the body of the living entity. So, he begins this verse that I'm discussing with all of you today, that we're all reading and trying to, get more out of it. Because I find the more I read the Bhagavad-Gita, the more I find a deeper understanding of, what I may not have understood before, and deeper realizations from continuing to read the Bhagavad-Gita. So the first sentence is, the unintelligent cannot understand how things are taking place. And so who are these persons who are, the unintelligent? Okay? So these unintelligent persons, there are many definitions throughout the Bhagavad-Gita about, also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but we're discussing the Bhagavad-Gita. They're everlastingly fooled by lust and desire, and they lose all power to understand, the change of body and their stay in a particular body. It's not comprehensible to them, And then by the unintelligent, the spiritual substance cannot be seen by them because they don't have the eyes or the mentality to see the spirit soul. Consequently, they think there's no such thing as spirit. And so when I was reading this, I was thinking about the prayer that we always say every day to the spiritual master. Om Gyana Tamaranda Shah, Gyana Gyana Salakaya, Taksomali Chamena Tasmai Shigurave Namaha. And so this one that I just read, talking about how the unintelligent don't have the eyes to see, or the mentality to see the spirit soul. So the spiritual master, he opens our eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. And all we have to do is hear. And even through hearing, we can understand, about Krishna, about the spiritual world, about what our position is in this material world. We have so much understanding just because we've been connected to an advanced devotee, the pure devotee, who can open up to us, what is actually going on in this world and why we're here and what we need to do about it and our relationship to the Lord, Also, the unintelligent, they're attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence. When I was reading this, I was remembering a friend. She was conducting Gita classes when I was in North Carolina, and in the sessions there were people who were coming, and I was assisting her. And there were two scientists who came. They were women. They were working in the local area, and they came to the Gita class. But what they took away from the class, they were complaining. Why does the Lord in this Bhagavad Gita always talks about himself? They were disturbed by the fact that he was saying, "Worship me. I'm the one you should worship." They could not really understand it or even want to hear it, because it sounded as they were thinking in material terms, that this is an ordinary person and he's just glorifying himself and asking for worship from other material bodies. So they were disturbed by it. They were like, why is he always talking about me, worship me, bow down to me, I'm the one you should worship? So this is a mentality of the unintelligent. They cannot see how Krishna is providing everything for every living entity. And he's doing it on a cosmic level, and he's doing it on a personal level. But this particular chapter that I'm reading, okay, from verse 12 through 15, the discussion is about appreciating Krishna's position as our maintainer in the world. Okay, so it's also saying about persons who are unintelligent, they cannot understand the meaning of life. And they're just like animals, and the animals do not know the past, present, or future, nor are they able to understand it. You cannot have, a dog come in here and sit here and listen to the Gita and understand what's being said or ask any questions. We know that they won't do that, except they'll just make a disturbance, So we have, people who are not at least following the Vedas or following or understanding that there's something higher than me. I'm not the all in all. I'm not the center of attention. There's someone who's higher than me. This is what Prabhupada is saying in this verse about at least understand the basics. Like, if there was no sun, we people in, like, okay, say for instance in London, there's not a lot of sunshine, and people always talk about the fact that London doesn't have much sunshine, and it's been proven that people get depressed when there's no sunlight. Like, for instance, because I come from a family who were in the military, we used to live in a place called Alaska. You know Alaska, right? It's one of the U.S. states. And 6 months of the year, it's dark all the time, And we find that during the darkness like that, when it's like that, people get depressed because the sunshine gives us so much energy, so much light. We have to have light, So this is what Srila Prabhupada has written in this purport, that just if we can get people to just appreciate that we have sun and fire. We can't do anything with fire. We can't do anything without electricity. But we know in the spiritual world, because Krishna is there and his Brahmajyoti is lighting up the whole spiritual world, there's no need of sunlight, there's no need of the moon, there's no need of fire or electricity. There's no need, because everything is always illuminated. But because we're in this dark material world, we have to have illumination. So Krishna has even provided that. That's speaking to the cosmic level, how he maintains us on the cosmic level. He says, I'm the source of light of the sun, moon, and fire that dissipate the darkness of this world. And then he says, I enter into each planet, and by my energy, I sustain all living beings. So when he created this material world, and because we wanted this material world, but Krishna was kind enough to provide all facility for us to be able to even live in this material world. We have to have light, we have to have heat. I really began to appreciate having fire. When I was living on the farm, we had wood stoves. So we'd have to load the wood stoves all the time, and it's really very soothing to have. It's different from just electricity, or it's different from regular house heat. It's really, I began to really appreciate fire, and in order to know how to light the stove, you have to have a relationship with Agni. You have to at least respect him and honor him and pray to him, and have a relationship with him in order to know how to make the fire go, how to keep it going, But it's a different kind of warmth. It's very soothing. And there are different types of woods that you can use in the fire. There's cedar, there's different kind of woods, and they each have a different smell. And also, we learned how to cook with they do this here anyway, they cook with wood. But we in the West, we only had electricity, so we could only turn on the stove, or we had propane, but we learned how to cook with wood and how to adjust the temperature, that was the simple life that we were learning. And it's very nice. It's a very nice method. So he also says that I become the moon and supply the juice of life to all plants and vegetables. So what actually can we do without Krishna? Nothing. He's the one that brought us into this world anyway. He's the one that impregnated material nature to bring the living entities into the world. I want to finish talking about those persons because Prabhupada started that purport off with that sentence that the unintelligent cannot understand what's going on, what's actually happening. And also in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 6th canto, it's saying that the unintelligent men who cannot understand this think that the names and forms and pastimes of Krishna are material, and therefore they deny that, hey, he has a name or a form. And even those who do not believe in the activities of Lord, they can't explain how the things are happening. And so the science thing, they say, oh, this is an accident, oh, this is, they speculate about how things are going in the world because they can't actually tell you. They have no real idea, like the Big Bang Theory. Actually, I never really understood what that meant, the Big Bang Theory. Does anybody know? What does it mean, the Big Bang Theory? The scientists that they were saying? No?
There was voice in the beginning.
Huh?
Voice in the beginning. There was voice in the beginning.
I don't even think they said there was a voice. They just said something about, like some concoction. But they just made it up, because they don't know. And in chapter Gita 7.25, Krishna says, I'm never manifest to the foolish and the unintelligent. He has a choice to manifest himself or not. So we cannot do anything without Krishna. We can't even, in the next verse, there's a discussion of the fire of digestion. We're not even in control of our bodies. The demigods control every action of our body. We're not doing anything. We think we're the doer, but we're actually not doing anything. The body is controlled by the demigods, and the demigods are controlled by Krishna. So that means that we are indebted to Krishna for everything, for our body, for our digestion, for the flavor of the fruit, for the taste of the water. We're indebted to Krishna for all that he has given to us, like a loving father, like a nurturing mother. He's given all his living entities everything. Everything you need is here. We've gotten so far away from natural living. It's like, he even says he's given the healing herbs. There are herbs in the forest. When I was living in the forest, there's something called comfrey. There's something called bone set. It helps you set your bones. There's something called, there's a plant where I don't know if anybody knows about poison ivy. It's a plant that irritates your skin very badly and gives you a bad rash, and it's really kind of painful. But growing right next to that one that is giving you irritation, next to it is the antidote plant that you can use to help cure yourself. So when you're living a simple life in the forest, then you get to understand how nature is working, how Krishna arranged everything so perfectly. Everything is there for the living entity. The healing herbs, how to take care of your body. But the society now is so degraded, and everything wants to be done quickly. Like, first thing they want to do if you go to the hospital is just they give you all this allopathic. Actually, when they give you an allopathic medicine, they can't even tell you actually, like, what it does, because people don't ask, they just take it. They're like, okay, just give me this medicine and let it be quick. Everything needs to be quick, But all natural medicine, even Ayurveda or homeopathy, they're all natural, slowly acting medicines. And when you have to go to an allopathic doctor, it's because your disease has gotten to the point where none of the natural stuff will work. So we're living in a very, as it said in the beginning, it's like upside down, perverted living. It's not a natural way of living. It's not what Krishna wants for us or has arranged for us. And also in Bhagavad-Gita 7:19, it is saying that in the body of a living being, neither the power to speak, nor the power to see, nor the power to hear, nor the power to think is the prime factor. It is life which is the center of all activities. And none of those things that I just mentioned are important unless they're related to the Supreme Lord, because that's our natural condition. We cannot just think of our own. We won't. All those persons who are talking nonsense, actually, when you look at the world, none of them really know what they're doing. Because as you can see in the world, it's a mess. Nobody knows what they're doing. It's just becoming more and more mess. The wars, and it's about sense gratification. I have to be in control. I'm the controller. I just want to see if I can lord it over this person. But to really have power, that strength comes from Krishna too. The intelligence comes from Krishna, the strength comes from Krishna, and we have to recognize that. And we have to worship him for that. So he's given birth to all living entities. He says, Sarvayonishu Kaunteya Murtayaha Sambhavantiyaha Tasam Brahma Mahadyonir Aham Bija Parapita. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving Father. So all through the Gita, he's saying that you are mine. All of you are mine. You all belong to me. You all belong to me, and I want you to come home to me. And also, he gives us the ability to remember or forget. So if we want to remember him, then he gives us that facility. When we were searching for the absolute truth, when we're in the process of coming to Krishna consciousness, the super soul in the heart directed us, because we were desiring, to know him, to understand that this life that I'm living, is not bringing me happiness. And so we were desiring to know Krishna. There must be something more than this. What am I doing? I'm not happy, I'm suffering. So Krishna facilitated that desire because we wanted to remember him. And those who want to forget, then he gives them that facility. You can forget me. It's okay. And it's not that he doesn't provide for all the living entities, but he pays special attention to those devotees who are trying to know him, trying to connect with him, trying to offer service to him, trying to please his senses and not our own senses. And we can't even digest our own food. If there's no fire of digestion, if we can't digest the food, then we get diseased. So he's providing the fire, even the fire of digestion, he's providing. And the very air that we're breathing, I've had the opportunity to realize that when we leave this body, we have to give up everything. We have to give up the air that we're breathing, that He has given us, to maintain the body. But when we leave, we have to even give up the air. Give it back to the elements. Give it back, because this is also what He's providing for us to breathe. This air, the very air we breathe, is given to us by Krishna. So there's nothing here that belongs to us. It all belongs to Krishna. Just as we do. We belong to Krishna. And then I was reading how, this is amazing to think about, but I was reading in the verse that talks about how Krishna is the greatest of the greatest and the smallest of the smallest. So we are the size 1/10, 1,000th. What is the measurement for the tip of a hair? That's very, very tiny. But Krishna makes Himself small enough to enter into each of those teeny, teeny, teeny particles, even the atoms He enters into. So He accompanies everything, all in this, when we come to this world, He accompanies all of us. Okay, I did that one. So Prabhupada says in this purport that if we have the conception of understanding the splendor of the moon and the sun and electricity or fire, then that's the beginning of gaining a little bit of knowledge. He's saying in such a conception of life, the beginning of Krishna consciousness, lies a great deal of advancement. If we can just understand that part for the conditioned soul in this material world, if we can just get, even the ones that we may preach to, just get them to understand, that you appreciate the sun, you appreciate the moon, we have electricity. Where is it all coming from? Krishna is the one who's giving. If we can just understand that much, if the living entities can understand that much, then Prabhupada says here in this purport that there's a great deal of advancement in understanding just that much. It's saying here that the living entities are essentially the parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, and He is giving here with the hint of how they can come back to Godhead, back to home. And it's saying here that the sunlight is due to the spiritual effulgence in the spiritual sky of the Supreme Lord. And that with the rise of the sun, the activities of human beings are set up. So many things are done with the help of fire. So this is all pleasing to the living entities. I remember always, somehow this phrase always stuck in my mind, because this is what I remember hearing when I began to come to Krishna consciousness, when I was looking. That Prabhupada, and I can hear Prabhupada's voice saying, both by the rising and setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone except one who utilizes his time by discussing the topics of the all-good personality of Godhead. So that is our business. Our business is to always discuss the Lord, to always read about the Lord, to always want to hear about the Lord, to always want to serve the Lord. That's our main business. And even though, Krishna is situated everywhere and he's a maintainer, but yet and still he's not part of that cosmic manifestation. He's the source of the creation. So we just need to appreciate. We just need to appreciate what we've been given, And know that we cannot, there's no way that we are independent or can be independent. We're not independent of the Lord. We're totally dependent on His mercy. We're totally dependent on all He's given us. And the next verse that's coming, that's the discussion of Krishna as a maintainer on a personal level, how he's maintaining us on a personal level. So we were given the intelligence to search out who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we're speaking the Bhagavad-Gita and hearing about the Lord and analyzing things in their proper perspective. And real knowledge is to know what is the difference between spirit, what is spirit and what is matter. So on that note, I'll end the Bhagavad-Gita class. And I'll open up for corrections, additions, questions. Anyone? Hare Krishna. Hare Bol Prabhu.
As you said, everything is given by Lord to us.
Mm-hmm.
So we should appreciate the Lord that He has given us everything. But due to this modes of material nature, we get the forgetfulness. We do not remember the Lord, that Lord is giving the air, Lord is giving the food, He is giving the digestion. Due to this three modes of material nature, we forget everything. We cannot remember it. So how is that we can remember?
You're talking about devotees?
Devotees or any materialist person also is giving what is giving to devotee is giving to the material person also. Same thing is getting. But how we can glorify the Lord by that you are giving us everything? So because we are in the modes of ignorance and passion, we cannot understand or we cannot remember that God is giving us everything.
I'm differentiating between the devotees who are trying to remember Krishna, who are just by chanting, we're remembering Krishna. Just by chanting. We pick up our beads every morning. We make that a priority. We're thinking about Krishna. We're thinking, let me chant Krishna's holy names. No? But our business as devotees, we're to preach. We help. We are here to help others. We don't want to go back to Godhead just on our own. That's selfish. We want to see everyone, know and understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why so many books are going out. So many books are going out. Because we are distributing the knowledge because we want to genuinely help people understand about the Supreme Person of Godhead and our role in relationship to the Supreme Lord. So I differentiate between the materialists and the devotees. The devotees are chanting, the devotees are remembering. Even if they don't think specifically, oh, Krishna's a fire, or Krishna's giving me this and that, but just picking up the beads to chant, that's remembering. I have to chant to Krishna. No? I have to chant. That's remembering Krishna.
We have to chant, that is correct. But then why we are envious of each other?
Yes. That's an anartha that we have to work on. Because as I understand it, and I can be corrected, is we, being envious, we cannot go back to Godhead, being envious. There's no envy in the spiritual world. So, is there any, if there's any particular person we're envious of, we need to serve them. That would be one solution. We can serve the person that we're envious of. No? And if we recognize that we are envious and try to chant inoffensively so we can clean the dirt that's in our heart. And because envy is coming, from as an anartha. This is why we came here, because we were envious of Krishna. So if we were envious of Krishna, what to speak of other living entities that we're envious of? So just realizing it and acknowledging it, we should do. And we may be envious, but we also understand that this person is a devotee. Because in this body, there's the demon and the devotee. In this Kali Yuga, both are there. So we're just battling with our mind. It's said in Bhagavad-Gita 15.7 that the living entities are struggling in this mature world with their senses and the mind. You want more? You want to elaborate on it more, or?
More means that anyhow we are serving Krishna, we are remembering Krishna, we are doing everything, but still we are envious of each other. Sometimes I see the speaker who is speaking like this, I become envious. Or sometimes speakers see that this audience, they are actually only these people are coming. They see the others are not coming. So these things are rotating in our mind. Even though we don't want to think about that one. Why only these 5-6 people? Why not other people are coming?
Mm.
So these things are rotating in our mind. Even though I don't want to think about others, but it comes in your mind.
Yes. So we're chanting, we're trying to purify our anarthas. That's why we're chanting. That's why we're chanting, to purify all those anarthas that are there, situated in our, hearts. So we just have to keep chanting. And if you sincerely pray to the Lord, please help me with this anartha. I know that I'm envious of this person or that person. But I know my Guru Maharaj used to say, if there's someone you're envious of particularly, then you go serve that person.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anyone? Couple?
I don't want to speak this on the mic. I don't want to speak this question on the mic.
No? Okay. He doesn't want the mic.
This question, everybody should know what Hare Krishna. So when I was very young, that time I could feel moonshine very nicely, and also vegetables would feel very juicy and nourishing. But as I have grown older in age, so now I don't relish food stuff also that much, and also moonshine also that much. So I don't know what is the reason, what is your comment on it?
Do you relish prasadam? If you relish
but
prasadam.
not like before. Before I would really relish it. Now I don't relish so much. I don't know.
Maybe someone has a comment about why. I don't know. I don't know, like why that is happening in you. You maybe you know, but
Like child is very innocent. So a young child, when he's in front of moonlight, he
Okay,
sees the moon, and it's so pleasing.
you know what? What about you've seen the big orange moons, like particularly on Lord or Gorpanim. You can appreciate that moon.
Yeah, that moon is appreciable. Yeah.
Yes, it's very appreciable.
Like many times on Purnima, I go on the terrace.
Yes.
To get the moonshine.
Yes.
But I don't feel same like before.
Mhm.
I feel, but the moon is pleasing, we know that. The
Mhm.
moon is,
Okay. Anybody have any suggestions for Prabhu?
This is, we can say, this is one of the symptoms of the age increasing.
Kali Yuga.
Definitely the things are not the same when the age goes up.
which
Mm.
age? My age or Kalyan?
Any age, any of the person's age, when age goes, the time remains the same which was there earlier 50 years back. Everything changes.
Any other additions or questions? Anyone? Hare Krishna. Thank you for attending the Gita class.